Cool. We like it. Well, thank you for choosing it. And Mr. Duckett, I know we talk sometimes here about psychopathy.
Yes, being a psychopath, you think you are one.
I am, absolutely.
And you seem quite proud to be one.
In some respects, I'm a benevolent psychopath.
A benevolent psychopath. Right. I saw this piece in BBC website, Business News. It's headed, "Should we all be a bit psychopathic at work?" And it's trying to suggest that there is something good and useful about taking up some of the traits of a psychopath. I mean, I would take issue with the whole idea, but there we are. It's in a book called The Wisdom of Psychopaths, and he says that adopting certain psychopathic characteristics can help you improve your own performance in the workplace. Are we all clear what a psychopath is, first of all?
More or less.
It's
More
a
or
man
less.
with a big knife, isn't it?
Well, this is it. You don't have to be a killer. You don't even have to be a potential killer. But some of the main characteristic, one of the key characteristics, which he mentions as well, is lack of empathy. No empathy with anybody else. You're narcissistic. You focus in on yourself. So, for example, some of the traits of being a psychopath: no qualms about manipulating your emotions. There's a criminal psychopath, and I'm not so sure about less than criminal, really can't distinguish between right and wrong. They intellectually know something might be wrong according to society, but it doesn't feel wrong to them. Anyway, they'll take the credit for your ideas. They'll lie to promote themselves. They're good at getting others to take the blame. They can be very charming, and this is the thing, so long as it benefits them. And they have charisma, but it comes with the chill factor. Now, what this guy is suggesting, that you might benefit from being ruthless when you want, and self-confident when, for example, you want to rise. Could you benefit from being more ruthless, Matt, do you think?
I don't think so. I have heard that before, and funny enough, I have a client who is in the construction trade, and he says, he sees things that happen sometimes and it doesn't seem right in terms of how jobs are awarded, but he says, should I be more ruthless? And I said, well, no, you just stick to who you are. You are who you are, and that's the most important thing. Stick to your so to use a phrase, your core values, and so certainly I think that's the best way forward. Karma and all that.
Yes, well, psychopaths got no interest in karma, I'm sure. Chris, what do you think? Would it help you if you were more ruthless?
Not in the sort of work I'm doing at the moment, but I think when I used to operate in the corporate world, definitely yes.
Yeah?
I think the corporate world is a place for psychopaths. If you want to get on in the corporate world, you do need to be a little bit ruthless.
Yeah, okay. A little bit ruthless.
Okay, I'm going to take issue, if I may, with the word ruthless, because as a self-confessed psychopath, or at least to a degree I am, I don't see that I'm useless or ruthless. But what it says here is psychopaths tend not to procrastinate or take things personally, and they don't beat themselves up when things go wrong. And I think rather than ruthless, the word I like is focused. It's really focused on the aims and the objective, and it's about getting there. And I think the only negative bit about being a psychopath, I think, is that if other people get hurt along the way, then so be it. That's collateral damage kind of thing.
And that's it. That would define psychopathy. You'd
Absolutely.
Be a psychopath.
And I do like to think of myself, as I said earlier, and you laughed, a benevolent psychopath. I do care if people get hurt along the way. But actually, every time I secure a client, it's a client that somebody else has lost. They come to me instead. Every time anybody sells a washing machine, it's a washing machine that somebody else didn't sell.
That wouldn't necessarily imply that you had to be ruthless to win the sale.
No, but being focused certainly helps.
Right, the focus is not a problem. It depends where the focus is. If the focus is on oneself to the exclusion of others, that's being ruthless. And that's what a psychopathic focus would be.
Okay, so if one is trying to secure business at the expense of others, is that not ruthless?
No, it's just competition. It's like winning a race. Otherwise, you would be implying that the majority of the population is a psychopathic, and in actual fact, it's about 1%, which is part of his argument that because they are so narrowly and tightly defined, he thinks that what people are doing in business is actually labelling a simple bullying style of management as psychopathic, which may be not the thing to do. Although I do know, because I know one, a clinical psychologist who has administered the test for psychopathology, psychopaths, in business and discovered, a good 3% rather than 1%. So there's a sort of, it attracts them. But as Chris says, it's a useful survival technique so that the worst, the most ruthless will rise to the top. But often they don't, you see. It comes back to bite them in the end because there's a thing called the dark side, the Hogan dark side, and some guys wrote a book about the whole list of behaviours that get you to where you want to be, but in the end will derail you as well.
How would you class someone, maybe say Richard Branson, for example, psychopath? He's bringing people with him on, his vision, his journey, or whatever he's
bringing them with him, so I would suggest he's not psychopathic. He's probably had empathy with them in order to bring them with him as opposed to force them along. Although he might have been, I don't know him, you see, he might have been highly manipulative, which is why the book, again, says it might be useful, because you're highly charismatic and manipulative, which can be useful sometimes. So I think the message is hug a psychopath.
Hug a psychopath, absolutely. Entertaining though this conversation may be, I need to play a piece of